now have the opportunity to have a conversation with the panel on the question how to harness the power of technology, systems innovation and entrepreneurship to accelerate the green recovery. And joining me are Rowan Barnett, he's the head of Google.org, EMEA and APAC, David Pistoni, founder and CEO of Zeleros, and Kirsten Dunlop, who is the CEO of EIT Climate-KIC. And I hope they will join us now. Yes, I can see two of you. Good day to both of you. I'm still waiting on Kirsten Dunlop to join us. She'll be there soon. Maybe I can start with you, Rowan. Google.org has recently announced very ambitious sustainability commitments. Why is this important to Google, and what is the role, do you think, of innovation within the context of the world's biggest societal changes?
Yes, well, thanks so much as well. I'll just start by saying thank you for having me. I was privileged to watch a lot of the pitches just now and was blown away by them. So excited to see how people are going to vote. But yes, so to give you a bit of context on the ambitious sustainability commitments that Google has just made, you know, sustainability has been a core value since Google was founded 2 decades ago. We were the first major company that became carbon neutral in 2007. We then matched our energy consumption with 100% renewable energy in 2017. And then since a couple of weeks ago, we eliminated all of Google's entire carbon legacy. And the new plan that we have, our 3rd decade of climate action, is ambitious because it's aiming to become carbon-free by 2030, and that means, you know, running all of our businesses and data centers and campuses on carbon-free energy 24/7. No credits, no offsets. And ultimately, what we want to prove is not just to decarbonize our operations, but really prove that a carbon-free future is possible and that it's achievable fast enough to prevent some of the most dangerous impacts of climate change. So a lot of what we're trying to do is provide a template, provide a blueprint, and hopefully catalyze the whole industry and drive towards a carbon-free future, which is, you know, something for me as a citizen, as a father of 3, and as a Googler, you know, that's something I'm very proud of. Now, it's ambitious because it's not actually currently possible right now. We've just released a white paper that goes into a lot of details about how we're going to aim to get there. Certainly believe that, you know, harnessing innovation and technology is going to be critical, and you know, secondly, collaboration is going to be critical. And so, you know, as a philanthropy at Google.org, we know, of course, the critical role that nonprofits, that civil society, and social entrepreneurs play in mitigating climate change, and so, you know, from a lot of the work we've done so far, we've seen the really positive impact of that. Yeah. And so, I'm particularly excited about our latest initiative, which is we've just recently announced a new Google.org Impact Challenge on climate in Europe.
Yes, I want to ask you about that in just a minute. But first, let me please go to David, if you allow me, please, Rowan. David, because you're probably the opposite of what Rowan is. Rowan is part of a giant, and you are on your journey, so to speak, as a technology-focused entrepreneur. Can you take us through that journey you've made until now?
Thank you, and also thank you for the invitation. It's a pleasure for me for Zeleros being here with you. And related with our journey, we started around 5 years ago. We were university entrepreneurs. We actually didn't know the word at that moment, but we were looking for a challenge outside the classes, the university, and we were testing what we were learning at the university. So for example, we won a NASA competition, and we noticed that we were able to do great things in that moment. Elon Musk competition was a big opportunity for us to find a new mean of transportation called Hyperloop, which is basically a train levitating inside a tube at low pressure. We can go faster with less energy consumption. And we won the competition, the top design Hyperloop prize and the top propulsion Hyperloop prize in that competition.
Wow.
Then we decided to go to the next step, and we create the company Zeleros Hyperloop. And today we are more than 40 members devoted to the project. We have 100 collaborators. We have great technologies, great partners, and we are one of the leaders internationally developing this technology. So our journey is a journey that starts with the university, and then we evolve until what we are today, this technological company developing this new transportation technology that is sustainable, and also, of course, we started with Climate-KIC, with the support of Climate-KIC. That was really important for us as well.
Well, good for you. As we still wait for Kirsten to join us, I go back to you, Rowan Barnett. Tell us about Google.org Impact Challenge on climate. I love the way everything's a challenge these days.
Yes, we're a year of challenges, but this is a very positive one. And, I'm really excited about it because this is an opportunity for promising European non-profit organizations and entrepreneurs and social enterprises across Europe who are using technology to tackle climate change to apply for this Google Impact Challenge on climate. We're making 10 million euros available. It's an open call, and we're looking really for entrepreneurs and nonprofits that are focused on things such as access and use of renewable energy, or improving air quality, or advancing the circular economy. And recipients will receive up to 2 million euros in funding, and also support from the Google.org Impact Challenge accelerators, as well as Climate-KIC, who we're delighted to be partnering with and benefiting from their expertise. And Dr. Dunlop, Kirsten, who's going to be joining shortly, we're also very excited to have her on the panel. So she'll be judging the applications. So if I can give a quick plug, applications are now open.
Go ahead, yes.
At Impact Challenge, let me just remember the URL. So it's impactchallenge.withgoogle.com/climate2020, or just Google it. And they close on November 6th. And I hope, I've been really inspired by many of the finalists that I had the pleasure to see today. Yeah. So I'm hoping that a lot of entrepreneurs will apply for this as well.
Well, thank you. I see that Kirsten has joined it, but just allow me, Kirsten, to briefly go back to David Pistoni first. Are you, as an entrepreneur, does this speak to you, what Rowan has just told us about the challenge? David?
Yep.
Did you hear my question?
No, sorry. Could you repeat, please?
Yes, I was wondering if what Rowan just told us about the challenge, does that speak to you as an entrepreneur?
You mean the challenge related with the green recovery?
Yes.
And the challenge?
Yes.
Of course. I think from the perspective of the startups and entrepreneurs, one of the best skills we have is the speed and the agility to detect problems and execute solutions for that problems. And I think that startups and entrepreneurs can have a really powerful role due to these skills we have. Sometimes big industries and institutions, the problem is not with the lack of will of combating this, but with the inertias that they have due to the heavy structures and operations. So I think combining the two sides of the coin, the agility and the speed of the startups and the power of the industries and institutions, it's a really good way to face this important and critical challenge that is the green recovery we are talking about today in this event.
Yes. Kirsten Dunlop, thank you for joining us. Let me give you some room here to speak now. Over the past 10 years, EIT Climate-KIC has supported almost 4,000 startups in 50 countries to launch and in their early stage of growth, resulting in more than €1 billion in follow-on investments. Many have gone on to work with you to demonstrate and to scale their ideas for climate impact. What have you learned about the roles that technology specifically and entrepreneurship more generally can play in achieving this net zero emissions in time?
Thank you. Let me just get myself off mute. Hello.
Hi.
We've learned a couple of things. The major insight is the impetus behind the work we're doing as an organization and the strategy that we have chosen for ourselves for the next 10 years. And that is that startups on their own will not get us, acting individually and acting alone, will not get us to where we need to be globally or in Europe or in any of the cities and regions where we are. And I think that is certainly not a reflection on the capacity and capability of individual entrepreneurs. It's a reflection on the complexity and scale of the problems that we face and the extent of transformation that we need. So one of our primary learnings has been, or the principal learning has been that building the field, as where we started 10 years ago, building the field for a climate industry and for the industry of climate entrepreneurship, climate action through new ventures and new venture creation is fantastic when you have nothing in place to build the field of creative and enabling environments, inputs, the disciplines, the logic, the thinking, and the core capabilities to think about the nature of hard tech, soft tech problems and the social systems change, in addition and alongside the technology. Now, the other side of that building the field challenge really starts to open up, which is having understood a set of possibilities. We see that the key limiting factors at the extent to which the field of application is structured and made possible for startups to achieve scale. And some of that is about the fact that if you work back from the scale of change we need, whole cities, whole regions, whole nations, global value chains, the entire financial system and a lot of its core mechanics, a lot of the ways in which we think about social structures and demand, our underlying models around consumption, obsolescence, waste, and so on. Yeah. No single solution solves for all of that, or even part of it. And often what's needed is testing multiple solutions simultaneously in such a way that they can come together and join forces and put fragments of a larger order solution together. If I think about what Zeleros is doing, for example, the opportunity to link the Hyperloop into what comes in across water and across land, to link it into energy grids, to link it into planning, financial context, and then to the large-scale logistics on-road planning and incentive mechanisms in Europe. And then you start to get a system order change, which is both a market-making mechanism for the individual startup, but a transformation mechanism for the scale of change we need.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. We don't have time for a whole lecture, but thank you. It's very interesting what you're telling us, Kirsten Dunlop. In the meantime, we have 1.5 more minutes left for you to vote, so make sure that you do get your vote in. Let me check with David Pistoni. Kirsten has said in an interview, she talked about the need of to let go of the individual hero journey. How does that sound to you? I mean, I expect that maybe you do have the need of that individual hero journey.
I totally agree with this quote. For this global problem, we need also global solutions, and we need to think globally in this kind of problems. In our case, we started as a open ecosystem competition, the Elon Musk competition. And today, Hyperloop is still global. There are different companies worldwide developing this technology. And we are actually cooperating to find the future legal framework we need to operate with this technology and to make sure that we can connect from one side, from the other side of Europe, having the same framework. So sometimes these kind of problems needs, of course, a global perspective. And in our case, Hyperloop is, of course, one of these examples.
Yes. Rowan, talking about this global perspective, how can a giant like Google be a leader in social and environmental change through entrepreneurship?
Well, I think, as I was alluding to before, both, what we try and do as a company, and as we look ahead to this next decade of climate action, it's really about making the data, the insights, what we're learning available to others, to entrepreneurs, to industry. It is, about creating the technology and making that available. So, for instance, we've created a technology whereby, using deep learning, we're able to reduce the amount of energy needed to cool our data centers by 30%. That's now a cloud solution that we can provide others that are working on, similar solutions. So, I think that's one approach, and certainly, entrepreneurship and supporting startups on their journey is something that Google is extremely focused on. We have our Google for Startups team, which is really focused on bringing the best of Google's resources, connections, and tools and technology to startups all around the world. We know that it's, and I think all around the world is extremely important, because it's ensuring that everyone is participating, everyone's building, because if we want a more equitable future, if we want to build technology that works for everyone, then everyone has to build it. And so, that's something we're particularly focused on. As part of the Google.org Impact Challenge on Climate, for instance, Google for Startups will also be supporting our grantees with an accelerator program, so wraparound support and guidance to help accelerate the projects. And that's something we've seen really successfully with other challenges we've done. We did a global AI impact challenge last year, and so that was hugely beneficial as well.
Well, thank you for that. Kirsten, your strategy for tackling climate change through innovation is called transformation in time. What do you mean by that?
I mean moving fast, connecting the dots and moving very, very, very fast. So I think it's just, I won't go back to referencing what we're doing, but it's very much around working back from the scale of the challenges and creating the conditions for entrepreneurship, for example, to bring forward solutions and connect up with others, and do so in an environment that accelerates learning and accelerates the velocity of translation of that experience and that learning into capital allocation, into decision making, into policy changes, because it's really closing the loop between entrepreneurs showing the way, exposing possibilities, collaborating with each other in ways that we haven't seen so far, really starting to join the dots across sectors, across silos, in physical contexts, and then working with others and working into the existing fiscal system and the policy-making system to start to change the entire environment.
Yes.
So it's also really, I think we're now at a time, transformation in time is also emphasizing we've done a lot in incremental work. We've done an awful lot in finding ways in which we can maximize efficiencies and get everything out, find the substitutions we need to keep living the way we have been living. Now we really need the breakthrough shifts that are exponential, that are undermining and underpinning the way in which we live.
And this need for speed, is that because we started too late simply?
We started too late, we left it too late, and we haven't had the courage to do anything really, really uncomfortably big enough.
And I also hear you say that we need to work hard so that we can continue the lifestyle that we have now. Maybe that's something we should.
No. I'm saying the contrary.
No,
I'm saying the absolute contrary. We've invested an awful lot in finding solutions to enable us to keep living the way we're living and kind of change the energy mix. And we're now at a point where we simply cannot keep doing that. We're going to have to change the way we're living.
Okay. I hear you have a question.
Yeah, because it would be interesting to go to David, because when it comes to the need for speed, what does he need to actually get onto speed and accelerate what he's trying to perceive to? David.
Yeah. Could you repeat, please?
Yeah, sure. So we're discussing the need for speed. We really need to accelerate now, as Kirsten is rightly saying so. So now the question becomes, what do you need to actually speed up? Where's your acceleration, and what kind of incentives can you receive to accelerate yourself?
Okay. So in our case, for example, we see two main challenges regarding speed. I would say one is the legal framework, and the second one is the funding, the fundraising. Of course, there are things, more parts to consider. But in our case, I think, of course, we have to play the same rules than the industry, than the current establishment. So we need to adapt to these rules, and probably we could need more flexibility in some parts of the framework to operate as a startup way, agile, and be flexible to adapt to these conditions. And in terms of funding, in United States, for example, they are more used to invest as different verticals of venture capital. And I think Europe has really, really great industry, really great technology. And we need to fill this gap between probably the Series A, B, C. These parts are something we have to push in terms to push the startups to reach this speed. In our case, for example, we are already working on the legal side with some industry partners from different regions, other Hyperloop promoters, as a European framework. And in terms of funding, we already have had a 7 million euros fundraising some months ago. So we split the project, as we are a hardware project. Is also tricky, as with biotech or pharma, how to define your strategy for reaching the next step. So you have some skills that you can use, but I think legal framework and fundraising could be two of the main challenges to reach a faster way to do things for the startups and in Europe.
Rowan, when Google started out, you had probably the same problems, challenges that David is talking about. What did you do that he can benefit from now?
Look, I think I can just second both what Kirsten said about about the need for speed, and I hope that this is going to be a wake-up call, because quite frankly, we were, this year was meant to mark 10 years on to completing the goals, and in fact, a lot of the progress against the goals had slowed. Now we've got the shocking news that you read the goalkeepers report from the Gates Foundation that came out recently, saying that 25 years of development work has effectively been negated in 25 weeks. So there is absolutely that needs speed, and also it's going to take all of us, and it's going to take, and I think it's going to take, as David was saying, smart policy. It's going to take governments, but it's also going to take people. It's going to take entrepreneurs, nonprofits, universities. So I think that is something that we see very much in our work. Those kind of innovators. Google has always been looking for people that are closer to the problems, that will have those kind of answers, and just for us to then give them resources, for us to try and help them. With whether that's with funding, but also, for instance, one of the things that we do and the way we can play a role is by bringing our expertise. So we have, for instance, a fellowship program, which is a pro bono 6-month program where fellows from Google, data scientists, AI experts, we embed them in an organization, and they work and help really advance particular projects. So, for instance, with What Time, one of our winners of the AI Impact Challenge last year, we've embedded 7 fellows with them, and they've been building and testing models to estimate carbon-fueled power plant emissions based on satellite imagery using AI. So that's kind of an example, I think, and we just need people across the industry. It doesn't matter, what you have to look at what are the resources that we can bring to the table and really start to move and progress.
Yes. Kirsten, 3,000 people contested and will finally yield one winner in what is it, half an hour time or so. What would you tell them? What can you teach them, tell them, so that whether they win or not, they can get on with their idea and upscale it?
Well, I would encourage them to look outwards and look for the fact that, and look for others around them. I think the field of radical collaborations would be where I would say keep looking for the people you don't expect to partner with, to buddy with, to ally with. You never know how that will come through, and it's often those strange and unexpected I won't say bedfellows, but unexpected partners in crime that end up really driving forward breakthroughs. Work on something you really care about and stay there. You ground yourself in something you care about, you will change the world. It really doesn't, in the end, matter. It's the connection with what really motivates you. Our experience is on funding, ask for money, get advice. Ask for advice, get money. Don't expect linear relationships with what you go and do. And think about a platform. This is a world that desperately needs multiple pieces of the puzzle to come together. Frameworks, a platform, a context, organizations and partners, including regulators, governments, in partners like Google that provide a framework in which you can connect and work with others. And that really means you can build a team that operates on the trust of a shared vision, but you can also constantly pollinate the ideas that you're working on with those of others.
Sounds like absolutely sound advice. I have the same question to you, David. What can you tell the 3,000 people who competed this year and who are filled with their ideas and need to get on? What is it, the one tip that you would like to give them?
I would say maybe two things. First one, related with Kirsten just said about the money advice, money thing. I think in our case, for example, with the fundraising, the key was not the quantity, but with who are we partnering and who is joining the project to support us, to learn from them and the synergies we can do. So this is really important to learn and to find allies and partners to move forward and grow your company. And the second one, and related with this competition, I think it's a bit different advice is about enjoy. So why enjoy? Because when you are in a startup, everything happens really fast, and sometimes it's hard to find these moments to celebrate. And of course, being in this competition, it's something to celebrate. So good luck for everyone, and enjoy also these moments.
Work hard and party hard. That's what I hear you say. Thank you so very much to my three panelists, Rowan Barnett, David Pistoni, and Kirsten Dunlop.